TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no veil, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. Won't stop, come on, baby, higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the day for the closing bell with good friend and colleague, Mr. Southside Riley himself, Riley Magnuson. Get you caught up with a quick weekend review. Go over the UFC. We'll go over X marks the spot, of course, and Xander Schauffele. His second major, and hats off to the ECSI VIPs. Pre-flop plus 1425, and our good friend Jeffrey Benson, Derek Stevens at the Circa. The ECSI 2024 Grand Slam in the majors. Scotty Scheffler, 2-unit play at the Masters. Xander Schauffele at the PGA, Bryson DeChambeau at the U.S. Open, and back to Xander in the Open and the British Open, I guess most people will say. Shout out to our proud sponsor and partnerships, WagerWire. If you have not downloaded the app, please head on over to Google Play. Wherever you download the app, it's free, I promise. If you want to join their team, send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. Travis, Zach, myself, and the rest of that community, Holly, Amber, Mr. Berry himself, will take good care of you. And the last commercial that we just played before the start of this show, Viva Tequila Seltzer. CT Bets and team have a great product. Head on over to your local sports bars where you drink adult beverages. If they don't have it, ask them why not, and enjoy. So without further ado, the co-star of this show, Mr. Riley Magnuson. What is up, sir?
How's it going, my friend? Happy Tuesday afternoon. I am ready to roll. We've got, for the most part here, my friend. So gearing up for that. Obviously, later in the week, we'll, I'm sure, be addressing the upcoming UFC fights. We talked a little bit about this kind of mediocre name card that was this past weekend, and had a little fun with that one. So obviously going to have some fun this weekend, or this week leading into the weekend for UFC. And yeah, we obviously had the X-Man get his second major of the season. Only the 16th person. I think it's been done more times than that. Obviously, Tiger's done it 3-4 times, but 16th player to win 2 majors in one season. So a rarefied air. I mean, you and I talked about all due respect to Bryson. I mean, as far as his odds coming into this tournament, and he's having a great season, but people kind of crowning Bryson and talking about Bryson as the undisputed #2 golfer in the world this year. And you and I talked about. Not that he hasn't been good, and not that he is an undisputed top 5, maybe even 3 or 4. But even before this, Xander was having easily the second best season out of anybody in any tour on golf, and now solidified that this year or this season now with this past win and two majors in 1 year is nothing to sneeze at. So for a guy who we talked about couldn't get it done, he made sure he went backwards over that narrative with his tires there. So credit to him, and obviously again a guy not someone who kind of lucked into it. He snatched it away from everybody, a crowded field, and he ran away with it on the back 9 on Sunday.
I saw a tweet, and I will not confirm or deny, but Xander became the first person in PGA history to shoot a 65 on the closing day to win 2 majors. So I assume what they mean is at the PGA this year on Sunday, and then again at the Open, shooting 65 on both to snatch victories in both of them. Yes, crowded field and the carnage. I guess we could step back to Saturday. At one point, Lowry got to -8, and they were already engraving his name. Would have been great for us. I think we had him at 48-1 pre-flop. Just shit the bed. And I heard it earlier this week. Golf is a game of mistakes and mental resets. And Lowry was just acting like a kindergarten kid who couldn't get his own way on Saturday. Even blasted them for, not moving up the tees. Par 3's hitting driver and can't reach the greens, and then talking, I think, about another hole as well. But the funny thing, bogeys early on Sunday, then birdies 3 straight, and on the 4th hole came up short where he was literally a quarter of an inch away from 4 birdies in a row. It was Xander's. You could just see him hanging around in the fescue. Like I said, Morikawa was another one waiting to fire. And Xander, just the mentality, defending gold medal champ from 2020. So now you got 2 majors, could defend the gold medal. And Scotty, 6 wins this year, has the Masters, the green jacket, who we were already giving the player of the year. I guess it will come down to the FedEx Cup, who gets the player of the year. But I bet you this, if Scotty wins the FedEx Cup, so Scotty gets the big check, the Masters, and the player of the year, and you ask Xander, hey, I got the 2 majors, pal. You can go have your FedEx Cup. I bet you Xander's very happy where he is right now.
No, he's not. He's not pushing anything back. And I mean, on top of that, again, to this point, as far as circumstance out of it, Scotty's obviously been the dominant golfer of the year with the wins that he's had. But Xander, I mean, it's a far cry behind him to get to number 3, honestly, because he's got a good amount of top 10s himself and top 5s. So. He's been fantastic, and you're right. I think he would take the 2 majors over 1 major in the FedEx and all these other tournament wins. Is Scotty losing any sleep at night? Probably not. But no, it's an interesting topic of discussion. What would you rather have, that season or this season? But money-wise, if Scotty finishes that with the FedEx, I think there's going to be a pretty hefty gap as far as the money that he's won. So maybe that might be the end-all of that conversation. But at the end of the day, we typically we always look back on how many majors we've won. So I'm with you on that one for the most part there.
I think they said Xander 2 majors, a 7th and an 8th.
Yep.
So he's had a hell of a year, and again, part of the USA team in Paris as we speak, so that will be interesting as well. I just quickly, we can go over, I did watch the fights over the weekend, the UFC. Listen, I'm going to be honest, Riley, nothing like wowed me. I was kind of disappointed in Lemos. I was really hoping for a better performance there. She got herself into trouble, and it was a Tap City. I'm out. I'm done. Anything catch your eye on Saturday?
Not really. I mean, Miranda Maverick, I think, was one of the more impressive performances on the early card there. I mean, she was I don't remember off the top of my head. I think minus 230, maybe higher than that favorite. So she did what was expected. But I mean, as far as expectations, I think she lived up to it the most. Day of, Trey Ogden was the one underdog that I saw a little bit of an edge for, and that was an impressive one. But I mean, we talked about it. There's a lot of guys that this was a good spot to learn more from. I expected more from Zhang Yong Lee, who ended up getting his butt whooped in the first round pretty quick. I expected a lot. That was probably the one I was most disappointed in. And then same with Sungwoo Choi. Honestly, there was a couple of South Koreans that I was expecting more from, and they both, I think, went down by knockout TKO in the first round there. So. Sure, yeah, Jandaroba was the one where, I was, like you said, a little more disappointed in Lemos than I was impressed by Jandaroba. But, I mean, that's typically how her, one way or another, whether it's decision or what she did there. Not going to overwhelm you with impressiveness or any flashiness. But at the end of the day, she's not going to get beat by you either. So, at the end of the day, she could be one where you blink and she's got a 5-fight win streak and she's fighting for a title here before you know it.
I'm going to stay right there for a second. Jandaroba, if you have to fight her, you can't get to the ground. And so, in other words, you got to do everything in your power not to get to the ground or it's a wrap. So how does her next upcoming few fights... I mean, you got to stand toe-to-toe. You got to keep her toe-to-toe. Is there anyone, Riley, you're the expert here, not me. Is there anyone that can just stay in striking distance, no pun intended, and say, hey, if you want to fight me, we're not going to the ground here? Who would that be, Riley?
Right, I'm trying to pull up the full rankings here. For some reason, this is pulling up the wrong rankings for me here. But... I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, Zhang Weili is obviously one of the more well-rounded, and I mean, she's not going to go down easy as far as just getting submitted like that without putting up a fight on the feet there. I want to pull up these rankings so I don't botch anyone else's here. There is a couple fighters that you haven't seen much of yet. But, I mean, Jessica Andrade is another one that's a popular name in that one. I think that's a bad matchup for Andrade herself there, too, to your point there. Same thing with Marina Rodriguez and Jandaroba might even have already fought Rodriguez, if I'm not mistaken here. A couple of fights ago there. So I don't know who would be next for her. I don't know. I didn't watch the post-fight there to see if she called anybody out there. But, I mean, Zhang Weili, I think at the end of the day would be it would be an interesting matchup because they are different fighters. Obviously, I don't think she would be pushed aside and submit to her will. No pun intended necessarily there, but that would obviously she's a super well-rounded fighter. So at the end of the day, I think whether or not she gets the title fight in her next fight or is one away from it, I do think she's gonna end up in a title fight again. I don't know if that's next on the docket or one more fight and then you get there again, but within a couple of fights I think she's going to be fighting for the title.
MLB guys, we talked leading up to the All-Star break. I talked about teams to buy before the All-Star break, teams that their next 9 days, their 8-9 games could persuade management. Obviously, I'm talking the Red Sox. We were talking Reds, Pirates, Seattle Mariners, San Francisco Giants. So what has happened since the All-Star break? Well, the beloved Red Sox are 0-4. The San Francisco Giants, I think, are 0-4. Seattle is 1-4. Reds already said we're selling. Cubs management came out. Jed came out yesterday, says unless I find a miracle, we're selling. Red Sox, unfortunately, have blown 3 of the 4 games. They've done it twice in one game now in LA, and they did it again last night. Muscled their way from an 0-4 deficit to 5-4 trail and tie at 5-5. It helped the ECSI VIPs, who go 1-1-1 last night. Red Sox team total over. We get there. Giants first 5. Blake Snell takes a 1-0 lead into the bottom of the 4th. And I said this spring training, Riley. I thought the signing of Teoscar Hernandez to the Dodgers, someone that could lengthen that lineup. Someone, of course, we're looking at Mookie Betts, Freeman, Ohtani, Muncy. We're looking at Will Smith. You see, I haven't said Teoscar Hernandez yet.
Right.
And other than Shohei Ohtani, I'd have to say Teoscar Hernandez is the MVP offensively for the LA Dodgers right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially, we had the always in my lifetime, it's, maybe you wishy-washy on the home run derby. You could mess up your swing. He's got a 4-game hit streak, and he's a couple multi-hit games and a couple bombs. So I'm with you, my man, especially when you factor in the Mookie Betts injury. I'm with you as far as, potentially being that MVP outside of, obviously, Ohtani there. So, it is crazy when you can stack him up, especially when you get Betts back in there. And that's the one spot where you got to wade past the superstars and now you got to deal with Teoscar Hernandez. I can think of a lot of different lineups that are like that, where you pick your poison with Teoscar Hernandez, and at the end of the day, that's still not the best option for you there. So I'm with you. I'm a big fan of his for sure.
As you like to say, he's a bad man. I called J.D. Martinez professional hitter.
Yeah.
Manny Ramirez was a professional hitter. Teoscar Hernandez is a professional hitter. So where am I going with this? Red Sox come out today, and now the tweets are out there. And guys, I said this in spring training. I said this 6 weeks ago. I said this a month ago. I'm going to say it again. Even if the Sox are buyers, they're not going to be big buyers. But the name Kenley Jansen, Tyler O'Neill, Nick Pivetta. If the Red Sox have an opportunity to move these guys, rentals, salary dumps, they're going to. And I'm sticking to it. Kenley Jansen, I apologize, will be a Dodger by the deadline. Mark it down. He couldn't come up to Colorado with us. We blow a game last night because of the heart issues. I'm not saying that's the reason. Jansen will end up being a Dodger by the end of the deadline. Mark that down. If they can move Tyler O'Neill, he gone. And Nick Pivetta, if anyone wants him, he gone. Not saying they won't add a Fetty or someone of that. James Paxton. You can mark it down. He will be a Red Sox come the deadline. You can mark it down there. So the teams that are not doing well since the break, the San Francisco Giants, the Seattle Mariners, the Boston Red Sox, the Cincinnati Reds, you can add the Cubs who won last night. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? And give us the updated White Sox guys that you're hearing in regard Crochet. We had Scotty Webb on yesterday, Riley. Mm-hmm. He says there could be an innings issue. This kid is coming off of no innings and 25 innings last year. Now he is being stretched out. Is there anything you're hearing this to say, hey, we're going to trade him for 5 prospects, but he's getting close to being shut down?
That's the interesting narrative, just to start right there, because I saw somewhere where, if he gets moved, he could get moved to a lesser inning role of coming out of the bullpen. And you talked about it as far as the postseason, but it could be down for the stretch here. And that is kind of shocking for someone who's an all-star and who's been as good as he is. But to your point, it's kind of throw him in that same category. He's been in the league for a few years, but because of the injuries he's had, I just want to pull it up so I am completely accurate. I mean, he had 3 years completely out of the majors with injury, or I should say 2 years. It was he barely pitched at all in 2020, had a mostly full 21, and then didn't pitch 2022, and only pitched 13 games in 23. So essentially a year and 3 quarters off. Without really pitching that volume. So to your point, I do. If it was a 1-year rental, I think a lot of teams would be significantly scared off, and the market for him wouldn't be as high. But since there's a good chance that he could be with whatever organization he's going to for a few years here, I think the market is still there. But as far as whatever role he has when he goes somewhere, not necessarily going to be that front of the line ace from August 1st through the end of October for every team. I agree with you. I think there's a good chance, especially if someone's trying to keep him around for the long haul. You trade for him, you get him for whatever it is, 2 or 3 more years after that, and then you sign him to a big contract. People are going to treat him. He's 25 years old. People are going to treat him. Teams are going to treat him similar to how they would with some of these young prospects here. So, I'm with you. That's not to say someone's going to shut him down immediately, but he could be transitioned right away to kind of a 3-4 inning a game type guy here. So, I'm interested to see how it goes. I do think he's still on the move here from the White Sox there. Outside of that, I don't really have anything else to add. Like Fetty is you can pencil him in as good as gone. I think still Kopech is a great call there. Trying to think, he obviously hasn't been as productive as he was, but I mean, there's no point in keeping Tommy Pham around if anyone's willing to pay anything for Tommy Pham. He's actually got a 6-7 game hit streak right now, so he's kind of heating back up a little bit here. And interesting guy, obviously, that comes with some headlines in the past, but a guy that can be a bench off the bat, a bat off the bench for any team that's looking for a little depth for some prospect change. That's nothing too much to break the bank there. So outside of Crochet, I don't think there's going to be anything drastic that's going to shock anybody. But again, to your point, if somebody's willing to pay for Luis Robert here and sees the upside compared to what he's been productive at and the injuries that he's had, then I wouldn't be shocked if they move on from him. But I think they'd be looking for a monster bag from Luis Robert to part from him, and I don't think they're going to get that. So I think Crochet and then the other smaller pieces is probably still in the cards there for the White Sox. As far as these other teams, though, I mean, it's interesting. The Cubs are still in an interesting spot where they still have some talent on their roster, obviously. But they don't need to part ways with everybody that's on, all that talent. They can keep some of that talent, get some prospects back, and kind of, it's not going to be. They're not a team that's going to be, a fire sale to where they're going to enter in this 3-4 year rebuild or anything like that. They can, sell some assets, get some prospects back, push their chips back into the table, try and get a nice free agent or two next year, and push their chips back into the table for next year. So I think that's a safe bet for them, assuming they don't go on some big run here the next week or so. Because obviously the playoffs are still very gettable, but that doesn't mean they have the type of lineup. They would have to be buyers, obviously, to put together some type of team that would be good enough to make a true run here. I was surprised. I was not disappointed as someone who loves the White Sox, but disappointed compared to my expectations of what they were. I mean, you and I talked, and I had them as a team that I thought would be good enough to be, get out of these types of spells that they've had this last month and a half here, and at the end of the day have enough talent to get them by and be a team that was at least above 500. So based on expectations, disappointed there. But they do have some young talent, so I think they sell a couple assets and push their chips to the middle of the table next year. Talked about, the Padres you've been talking about as a team that is going to come out of the out of this pack and be successful. They've been successful before the All-Star break, and now I won the last couple days from what I understand there. So anybody else? I mean, do you know any idea, any thoughts? I'll kick it back to you on as far as the Mets, the team that obviously has had a roller coaster of all roller coaster seasons. And it's one of the hot button teams as far as what they have done and what they will do. I mean, any thoughts on what they do this next week?
It's funny. I said 6 weeks ago when I was, formulating the crystal ball Biff's almanac, and this was going to work out perfect, where the Mets were a dumpster fire. This is probably, let me see, pre-Diaz injury and then suspension. So it was like a double dip. I'm like, you're not going to re-sign Alonso. The San Francisco Giants needed a first baseman, and I think Diaz needs a change of scenery. And so this was a perfect 2-for-1, 2 for whatever the package was. Ship them both over. I used the Nationals. Max Scherzer, well, if you want Max, take Trey Turner. The White Sox, well, if you want Crochet, take Roberts. So in other words, you have a high ticket price on one of them, 5 prospects. Well, the only way we're going to give you those 5 prospects is if you add a player. So I'm saying with the Mets, you want Alonso, well, take Diaz along with them. So Here's the problem with the Mets. They went on that great winning streak since Grimace threw out the first pitch, and now they're back in the mix. They're back in the mix with the Cardinals, who no one's talking about, that are right there now. The Pirates with the big three are still below 500. It's Paul Skeens Day, everyone, by the way, and make sure you get your popcorn. The highest prop in humanity today, over 7.5 strikeouts. So, you might as well get one of those confettis punched as well. So you got all these teams, the Padres, in no man's land here. So I think the biggest problem with the Mets is this. There's a guy called Juan Soto, okay, that is not leaving the state of New York. Now, is it going to be back page and he stays in pinstripes with the Yankees with a contract that starts with a 6? Or are the Mets going to fool the world and say, we got to keep Alonso here. We're still in the pennant race because when the Yankees outbid us, at least we can go back and keep Pete home and keep him a Met and at least be relevant in the New York Post. So they're kind of in that catch-22 because once you start selling, the fans stop coming in August, and then in September when the Jets and Giants are playing football, there's no one in the seats.
Right.
So it's a catch-22, Riley.
Yeah, and they're one of the most interesting cases of these teams teetering because they obviously were at a point where, fans were ready to give up on everybody, and now you've got guys who are playing well. So the other team that I'm curious, and they've obviously been a team that's had a ton of success in all parts of their history. The Cardinals, to your point, you mentioned, is a team that nobody's really talking about. Any thoughts that they can get really aggressive? Because we've been waiting on their offense to have a little more consistency. They've had these, two pillars for a few years now, and Goldschmidt's numbers aren't fantastic, but obviously he's still a guy who can get it going. Arenado, obviously, still a really good player. And Sonny Gray's, obviously a better than what they've had in the past. But any thoughts that they go aggressive and I mean, whether it be add a true top 3 or 4 starter to their rotation or add another guy to their offense that's a legitimate player, is that what's in the cards for, no pun intended, for the Cards?
Okay, so if I asked you this, because I don't have the answer, who is the big bat out there right now? I don't have that answer. I mean, Alonso?
Yeah, I was going to say Alonso, maybe someone on the Cubs, which the Cubs obviously aren't going to be shelling out, whoever they'd like to get rid of to their division rival, obviously.
Well, it's funny with the Cubs because a name that came out earlier this week, I don't see him moving, is Justin Steele. Now, they had said we're going to be sellers, so Cody Bellinger. Is Bellinger off? Is he back from the IL yet? I'll ask you that question. He was nicked up, I thought, before the break, so I'm not even sure if he's back. If he is, I apologize to all the Cub fans. You want to show me aggressive? You want to show me you want to win? I'll give you the one name right now. Go get him. His name is Vlad Guerrero. Go get him. What's the price tag on him? I know Bo is on the DL right now. He has had an abysmal year. There were talks he was available. All of a sudden, Vlad showed up back at third base not too long ago. They'll listen. Someone wants to be that team and says, we're going for it. Alonso is the ticket. I don't think they're going to move him. He's a rental. Go get Vlad Guerrero.
Yeah. No, and to your point, I mean, they've been a team that, I think they're dying to get back into that upper echelon, and they haven't been able to get that guy to get them over the hump. Other than obviously they made the 2 moves to get Arenado and Goldschmidt, and it didn't work out to what they expected. And obviously, this is the most success I think they've had, aside from maybe a similar year. But the other team, maybe Bellinger's still on the IL, by the way. The other team that kind of is teetering, that we've talked about as potentially could be sellers, but it might be a little out of the question is Tampa. Maybe they've got a couple pieces that they get rid of that St. Louis. I think the answer though is if they really want to get better, they have to get be significantly more aggressive than I think they're probably willing to in St. Louis.
Yeah, Scotty was on yesterday, and your favorite players, you pronounce him so well, the Paredes guy. Uh, 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 he could be available. I've heard Houston there, and he said Randy Rosarina, go get him.
Yeah.
Tampa is willing just to drop him off at the airport, wherever you want it, whatever destination. So he is available there. So there's some names, and he talked about this, and the locals have talked about it. The trade deadline is a week from today. I don't know if it's at 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I don't know what time it's at, but it's a week away. These GMs, why wait? Why not make a move now? Why not start this? Get in front of, because the longer these guys hold on, the higher the price goes. So I think of you with the White Sox here. We could hold Crochet hostage, all right? Or we start and we move Fede. But here's the thing. If you move Crochet and you do move Roberts, well, the price of Fede now goes up the closer it gets to Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So it's that cat and mouse. Who's going to blink first? The kid in Oakland, Rooker, 22 homers. He's available. Go get him. Paredes or Rosarina. The Red Sox, I'm telling you right now, guys, again, I know I said this 15 minutes ago. I'll say it again. Kenley Jansen will be a Dodger. Tyler O'Neill, who wants him? He's yours. And if you want Nick Pivetta, he's available too. And Pham, by the way, will be a Red Sox before Tuesday or on Tuesday. He'll be a Red Sox. Yeah. So before we dive into the slate today, we haven't done this in a while. Why don't you give us the Bears update? I know you're a Packer guy. What are you hearing about the Bears in Chicago? And then, of course, we're going to go to the Packers. And I'm hearing what's Love got to do with it will be the highest paid NFL quarterback by the end of this week.
As far as the Bears, I mean, you're asking me,
it's a loaded question. I know.
No. But they'll be on. I don't know when Hard Knocks starts, but they'll be obviously the team that. There's obviously, I think, per their schedule, I was not too floored by their schedule to think that they can't. I can't remember off the top of my head. Are they 8.5? Is their win projection for the season? 8.5. Per their schedule, it wouldn't shock me if I do kind of pencil them in at 8-9 wins, and wouldn't shock me if they can get a 10th there. But they're going to be the team that, like we had, just about every single year, unless that team is actively bad, and we know they're bad, a team that everyone falls in love with and think they're going to be, 13-14 because of Hard Knocks. So you have to be a little bit wary of that when you're going into the actual season. Once we get through it, and we everyone watches Hard Knocks, and you see Caleb Williams, and you see these players on offense. Because from my opinion, I am impressed by what they've done. I do think there's going to be some growing pains, though. I think I said that when they were, around draft time for the Bears here. I think there's going to be some growing pains. You've got a completely new quarterback, new receivers that he's never seen. Obviously, whether that be Keenan Allen coming from L.A., you've got Roman Dunze coming out of college. So I think there's going to be a little more growing pains than people are giving him. People are alluding to there. The defense there, I'm interested to see how they follow up the way they finished last year, because 2 years ago, I was feasting on, opposing team total overs. Their defense was terrible. Even the start of last year, it was not good, and obviously they made some huge strides the second half of the season there. So I think that's going to be one of the, aside from, how does this offense look out of the gates, I think by the end of the season that offense will be pretty good. Is how that defense follows up with their last season. Was that just a flash in the pan? They had a great finish to the last season, or is that what we're going to be accustomed to going forward here? Because Matt Nagy, excuse me. Oh gosh, I can picture his face. Why can't I think of his
Obinger? I'm bad with this.
Oh man. Oh my God, I'm giving a whole update. I can't even think of their head coach name. And I say Matt Nagy. Good God. Matt Eberflus. Good grief. Matt Eberflus saved his job to some degree. I mean, maybe he was going to keep it anyways with, changing up quarterbacks. But as a guy who came in as a defensive mind and leading a defense that up until the second half of last year was just flat out bad, gave him a lot of good grace, obviously. And so that's going to be something to watch is how good this defense is out of the gates here. With some of the things they've done ended last year, and obviously the pieces they changed up there.
And before we go to the Packers, that defense, the second, it was all predicated. Correct me if I'm wrong here, please. The Sweat deal with Washington. Once once they got him, I'm not calling them the monsters of the Midway or the 85 Bears defense guys, so don't not take it the wrong way. But let's just go back. That defense, the last month especially, they were amazing. They played amazing ball.
Yeah. No, and to your point, we're not talking about them as the number one defense in football, but going from probably a bottom 5 defense to I don't know what their numbers were off the top of my head the second half of the season, but and I'm not even sitting here saying they're going to be a no doubt top 5 defense this year. They have they could be, but it was upgraded in a position of weakness to a massive strength. Which kind of unlocked. I mean, so much of their secondary looked so much better that second half of the year there. So, curious to see how that secondary is still pretty young, but they've got a lot of people in Chicago are excited about what they can do there. So that you're right. I mean, the Sweat deal was obviously what unlocked it there, and it's not that they were just good. They went from flat out bad to a really really solid defense there. So, going to be curious to see what they do. Over to the Packers there. I know today, obviously, we're going to get a lot of reports, the first couple days of so-and-so's been great out of the gates these first 2 days, or an offensive unit, defensive unit. Packers defense, from what I heard today, kicked the offenses. You know what? Obviously, that's no Jordan Love today, as the reports are that he's waiting until he gets that deal. So I do think within the next week or so, we're going to see that deal here, and I mean, as we typically do, keep resetting the market and jump into it's like leapfrog. All these quarterbacks getting their new deals. I think he will be, from what it sounds like, especially after. Teams and interdivisional teams have been doing this the last few years now, where you get a guy where you might not have to pay him, that extra $5 million, but if it forces your divisional rival to have to pay an extra $5-10 million and make so and so the highest paid quarterback. We saw it in the NFC East a few years ago. And now Jared Goff gets a monster deal, and so if you're Jordan Love and Jordan Love's agent, you gotta at least, and you're trying to sell that you're significantly better than Jared Goff, you're obviously gonna ask for a big payday there. So I think that's coming down the pipe here, and I don't know what quarterback's next, but he'll be the highest paid until it's someone else's time to get paid. But still a massive deal, obviously, for sure, for Jordan Love coming up.
I'm hearing 5 for 280, which is it will put you at 55 times 5, puts you right around 275. So again, I'm here 5 for 280. I don't know what the signing bonus is. I don't know what the guaranteed money is. It's probably going to be 170, 180, 200 in the guaranteed. So you're going to get them for 4 years guaranteed. I love the deal. Well, the hardest part for me, especially for the high stakes fantasy market, is which Jordan Love are we going to see? Is it the one that struggled early in the year, or the only thing I have on the brain here is that Jordan Love that threw up a 40 burger in Dallas? He was phenomenal. Don't forget, in the championship game in San Fran, the fumble which had them with the ball with an opportunity. So I'm very high on your Packers. I'm very high on Jordan Love. I guess the first real big question is Aaron Jones out, Jacoby, Josh Jacobs in, which I'm not a big fan of. But I think of Josh Jacobs as someone that played with Marcus Allen, that's been here forever, and I think he's only 25, 26, so he's got a lot of tread left on the tire. But your wide receiving core is sick. Christian Watson, will he ever stay healthy? Jaden Reed, which is my question to you, what's going on with the toe? You got Wicks, you got Bo Melton, and you got the tight end. So you got weapons for days here.
If you got Romeo,
Romeo Dubs.
Yeah, Romeo.
You got weapons for days here, Riley.
I know, and to your point, the tight ends, and I'm curious, I'm interested to have that conversation as far as fantasy is concerned, because I keep getting asked about the tight end room of who to pick, because for the Packers as a whole, before I get into that, the entire wide receiver room and the entire tight end room went from first year and second year receivers to now second year and third year receivers. So you got another year of experience under their belt of finishing the season really, really strong, and so that. And that goes into the case for Jordan Love this year of how good he's going to be is you could say to yourself, hey, part of the reason why they started figuring things out later in the season was because you finally got the entire offense on the same page and a lot more experience for these guys here. And Crossing my fingers, knocking on wood, every luck I have. The reports that I saw were that Christian Watson got his, got the help that he needed and got his hamstring issues resolved, and that there won't be a lingering issue. So, every luck, knock on wood, whatever you want to do, go for it. Because we did see, again, obviously Christian Watson came out on the scene when Aaron Rodgers was still quarterback, but we did see, I don't remember how many performances it was, but we did see some flashes when he was healthy with Jordan Love. So I'm optimistic that if he's on the field, he's going to be still really, really good there. And Romeo, is still looking for more from him in the full passing game, but he was fantastic in the red zone, and he's got, his route running inside the 10 yards has been really, really good. So still looking for more elsewhere, but the tight end room there, Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, I think Tucker Kraft is currently listed as the number 1 tight end because he's a little bit more well-rounded. I think the answer is that they're going to go into a lot of 12-man, 12 personnel, a lot of two tight end sets. And Luke Musgrave is the guy that can stretch the field a little bit more. We saw it last year of some of the deeper passes that he can get loose for. Whereas Tucker Kraft's going to be a little more of your blocking tight end and those short route guys. So I think they're going to get a lot of playing time together. I guess I lean towards Tucker Kraft, but at the end of the day, if they're both healthy and both playing, I don't know that either of them is a good home run option by any means here because they're both really, really solid and you can't keep them off the field. If one of them gets hurt, then the other one is elevated into, around that top 10, if not higher, tight end status in fantasy there. But if they're both healthy, there's going to be weeks where one of them will have a good week. I'm not saying that, but they're going to get a week where one of them's good, one of them's bad, and they flip, and then another one where they're both 4 catches for 30 yards, that type of thing. So it's going to be really, really tough with those two guys. If you've got a dynasty or anything like that, it's good to stash one of them, but. At the end of the day, if they're both healthy, it's going to be tough to call who's getting it. As far as Jaden Reed, still trying to learn more about his injury, but it sounds like it's a minor injury, so hopefully it's not a nagging, lingering thing there because obviously a guy that was pretty damn important in his first year there for the Pack. So still looking for more news on that one. I know there was a couple other guys on PUP off the top of my head. I think Tucker Kraft might have been one of them. But at the end of the day, so far, no real concerns as far as once the actual season starts to this point from my knowledge here.
I see toe and I get nervous. Obviously, in fantasy sports, there's a thing called the turf toe. You see turf toe, you run and hide because for these NFL guys especially, that's the dreaded, what is it, the big three, the dreaded high ankle sprain, turf toe, and there's a third one that I'm missing. So that I saw toe. I just got a little nervous there. Lastly, before we go into the menu for tonight's game here, excited or you wish it was someone else where again, the opening night game is Thursday night, obviously. The Kansas City Chiefs host the Ravens, and that's a free look game for us, and we love it. But there's a second free look game, and that's the next night on Friday. As a Packer fan, are you excited that you're playing on Friday in Brazil against the Eagles? Now, I have no idea. I know when teams travel to Australia, they travel to London, there's always that jet lag. I don't know what to expect here. You're traveling to Brazil, you're playing a team which I think the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFC, not the 49ers, and we'll talk plenty in the next 5 weeks. I think the Eagles are the team to beat. You can put the 49ers second. I put your Packers potentially as the third team. I think Dallas takes a step back this year. But we'll talk about. But as Packer fans, what are you hearing the buzz? Is everyone excited? Hey, shit, guys, we're the second game, and we're going to be playing in Brazil against the Eagles.
I think it's mixed reaction. No one's poo-pooing it by any means, but as far as a long game is concerned and jet lag and all of that, I'd rather not start the season. I'm obviously going to be excited for it, and it's going to be awesome to see. I would prefer that they don't open the season, overseas. The week one is always so weird anyways, so maybe it's a benefit, and the Eagles will be coming in a little off. So I'm not sitting here saying I can't wait. I can't wait because it's the beginning of football season, and I always can't wait for that. But as far as that game itself, being on a standalone game, I guess I am excited for. But would have preferred, I just typically prefer to not be playing overseas. With the Packers did a good. I had a good stretch of not playing anywhere overseas for quite some time, and so far there's been a couple licks taken overseas. So I guess I'm a little nervous from that perspective. But at the end of the day, I will be excited. But obviously a tough game against the Eagles. Maybe you'd prefer that over playing one of the bottom teams overseas and them catching you on a weird overseas trip or something like that, if you know what I mean. So I'm obviously excited for it, but would prefer to be stateside to start the season. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and it's going to be a fun one no matter what. And you're right, the Eagles obviously are going to be a tough test, and I think it's a 1.5 point spread right now on this field there. So curious to see how it goes, and I think the Packers defense is a major question mark for how they show up to that game and slow down the Eagles offensive attack. It could be the answer to that game.
Could be one of those take the over and grab your pom-poms and popcorn and have a good time there. Full slate of MLB. We've been having a great talk as always. I want to thank everyone for watching and listening. Great crowd out there. If you haven't subscribed already, just jump on over to YouTube to East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. It's free. Tell a friend. Have some fun there. Full slate of MLB tonight. We don't obviously have to go through the whole board. Any games out there catch your eye? Any leans? Any props? Any home runs? What do you got tonight, Rise?
We can move through it quick. The one that I wanted to ask you about that was interesting to me so far, a team that has not come out of the All-Star break very well. They had a flash on Friday, 7-0 victory against San Diego, but now 3 losses in a row. 0-1 and 2 runs is Cleveland at home against Detroit. Minus 135 favorites at home here. Xavier Curry has only, I think he started July 12th. His starts have been very sporadic. He's come up, he's come down, but he is up again here today for the first start in a couple weeks for Cleveland. They don't let him go too deep into these games, and his numbers don't look great. But anyways, were you surprised to see this number so low for Cleveland at home here against this Detroit team? Detroit coming out of the gates well, so maybe there's some respect to them coming out of the All-Star break, 3-1, I think it is. But it looks like they've got a bullpen game here on their side of things for Detroit.
Yeah, I think Cleveland, with our conversation with Scotty yesterday, is, again, one of those teams that really played well over their skis. I mean, Jose Ramirez, J-Ram carried this team. We like to say in the first half it was death by 10,000 paper cuts. They just got guys on and they moved the chains. They went base to base to base, then a 2-3 run bomb. They got the best bullpen in the game, hands down, from the Bridges to the closer. The problem is their starting pitching and their length. They face a Detroit team overnight. Cleveland minus 140, money trickling in on the Tigers in the bullpen game, down to 133 at our good friends at the Circa. Good afternoon, Mr. Benson, Mr. Stevens. 133, you can grab the Tigers plus 122, an under over of now 8.5 juiced over. Something here smells to me. If you wanted to have some fun in this game, I like the Tigers team total over 8.5, and I can get that at plus 125 right now, Riley.
Team total or game total? You said team total 8.5.
Team total. I'm sorry, Tigers team total over 4.5.
Okay.
Plus
yep,
125.
Just making sure we're on the same page.
Yes.
Yep, I'm with you on that one for sure. Just wanted to make sure we were talking team total, not the game total there. But yes, 4.5. I'm with you on that. I mean, Xavier Curry, obviously, kind of the signs point to me as him having a rough first couple innings there for Cleveland there. In there, they've been giving up a few runs these last couple of days. Other one, Padres and Nationals. This is in Washington. Randy Vasquez for San Diego. DJ Hers for the Nationals. 23-year-old DJ Hers has not had a great start to his career here in D.C. Yet the Washington Nationals find themselves as a slate favorite in this one. Was that surprising to you for this one?
Overnight number minus 125. Money trickling in on the Padres now, minus 111 on the Nats, and you can get the Padres now plus 101. An under over of 9.5, juice under minus 15 cents. Very simply, first 1 to 5 wins this game. Padres team total 4.5, juiced over minus 20 cents. Washington 4.5 flat minus 110 both ways. So I'm gonna excuse me, take the Vegas Q here and take the Padres team total over 4.5, and you got to lay 20 cents juice. I know someone's going to say to me, Jeff, why don't you just take the Padres plus 101 to win the game? Because, like I said, I'd rather take the Q here. They get to 5, and if the Nats win this 6-5 in 10, I don't have to worry about it. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I guess you can take the over 9.5 and get that minus 5 cents. I like the Padres to get to 5 here, and we don't have to worry about anything after that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one where you don't want to worry too much about, you don't have to be want to be rooting too much for Randy Vasquez to hold things down, because it's I talked about DJ Hers in the intro there, but Randy Vasquez, obviously, who's been around, but has not been very great himself this season here. So, yeah, great point. You never, you always want to be careful of jumping into a money line because you think they're going to score. Well, what about their own starting pitcher there? So. You've got the Subway Series in New York, Mets and the Yankees. Jose Quintana versus Luis Gil. Yankees minus 155. Quintana, last time out was Sunday, July 14th, so right before the All-Star break. Not great. Before that, actually had a nice little stretch of keeping some runs off the board there. Is this a little respect towards Quintana of kind of returning to that, or is this kind of just a fair line here with the way the Mets are playing lately?
I'm so glad you started that the way you did, because we were fade Quintana when he got back, I think his first 3 starts, and we could put an L, an L, an L. Of course, we don't go against him on that last start, and he was Whiplash City. So again, Gil, who was like probably the talk of the American League for most of the first half, had been leaking oil here. The way I read this overnight, Yankees minus 160, now minus 150. You can get the Mets at plus 137. It was an 8.5 overnight, over minus 15 cents. Now a flat 9. I lean Yankees first 5 minus the hook. I like Gil here. I like him over Quintana. Team totals, Yankees 4.5 juiced over minus 25 cents. If you like the Mets today, it's a 9 right now. You can get their team total over 3.5. It's juiced minus 40 cents. So I don't run to the window with a number like that. So I like the Yankees here. Now, if you want them to get to 5 or better, you got to lay 25 cents. So here's how I'm going to say this. If you like the Yankees tonight, you play them first 5 minus the hook, and you get out of Dodge. Otherwise, I will not lay the 50 cents. I would rather lay 25 cents and have the Yankees get to 5 or better and call it a wrap. I don't care who wins the game after that.
Yeah. No, this is an interesting one. I mean, the way both these teams are playing, these very different pitchers, but obviously ones that you gotta pick carefully here and look through carefully. So I'm with you. It's an interesting one, and Quintana's a tough nut to crack this season. Obviously, had some rough stretches, but in past years, but obviously is returned to at least somewhat serviceable. So, but that doesn't mean he can't get beat up a little bit from time to time. So. Let's see, and if you see anything that you're interested in between here, feel free to jump in. Those ones that I mentioned were the big ones that I wanted to bring to the table. Just looking through last second here, trying to add anything to the table. You got Brewers and Cubs, Colin Ray versus Jameson Taillon. This one is right around a pick'em here. Taillon has been pretty serviceable lately, 3 runs or less each of the last 3. He is pretty consistently right in that 2 to 3 run range here for the Cubs. Respect to him and the Cubs here, or is this more about maybe a little Colin Ray regression coming his way again here? Had a bad one a couple times ago, bounced back with a 2 ERA start right before the break. But obviously, this season to this point has been the best season in his career. Curious if we are seeing some Colin Ray regression coming tonight.
As I stated as we started the show, the ECSI VIPs come out of the All-Star break with a 1-1-1 last night. We push on the San Francisco Giants. We get there on the Red Sox team total over. Our loss was the Milwaukee Brewers team total over 4.5 last night. And let me just tell anyone that didn't watch the game what happened. First and second, 2 outs. Mr. Sal Frelick. He wasn't free last night, trust me. He was on the Cubs payroll. 2 guys on, first inning, grounds out, thanks. Second inning, Brewers do nothing. Third inning, bases loaded. Guess who comes up? Mr. Sal Frelick himself. Grounds out, thank you very little. So we have 5 left on base through 3, but it gets better, guys, because in the 4th inning, the Brewers get the bases loaded with 1 out and failed to score. So in the first 4 innings, 8 left on base, no runs. Thanks for playing. That was our loss. Riley, you know my feelings with Mr. Ray. I can't, he's our kryptonite. I can't figure him out. I know this, he's not good, but he's pitched okay. And I'm looking at the overnight numbers here. Milwaukee, and Tyon is a name that is one of the pitchers that could be for sale. We talked about Justin Steele. Is it steel or aluminum? I'm going to tell you, when the dust settles, the Cubs are not moving Mr. Steele. I think they're going to move Talion, though.
Yes.
Overnight, Cubs minus 120. Currently, there's money coming in on the Brewers minus 106. So I will tell the world this. I am not releasing the Brewers team total tonight. And the Brewers team total right now is 4.5 juiced under minus 135. So everyone watching and listening, go run to the window and play the Brewers team total over 4.5 plus 115. You will thank me later. And I'll even go a step further and give you, I hope you pull this up here, what is the price on a Yelly bomb tonight?
Let's see. This game is in Chicago. I should note there has been I don't know what the weather is looking like. That this could be one where you want to keep an eye out on the weather a little bit here. Christian Yelich is 4-1 plus 400.
And go put a little pizza and beer money on a Yelly bomb at 4-1. You'll thank me later. How's that sound?
That sounds decent. I'm trying to pull up the weather report for around game time. There is a little, if you can, I probably can't hear, but it's downpouring outside my window as we speak right now. But I see a little chance around game time, so it's something to look out for. I don't know that it'll be a stop and start. They might just wait it out and get started afterwards, but it's at least something to keep an eye out for there.
My eyes, I'll just go over a couple quick things here. The Red Sox, Colorado, if you guys haven't been watching the show or paying attention, Kenley, Jesus, I've called him Kelly now 28 times. Mr. Jansen, again, not in Colorado. The Red Sox blew the game not once but twice last night. Their bullpen is leaking oil bad. The team, the over-under now is at 11.5. I'm going to just say this Criswell is bad. But again, Colorado is got Mr. Block himself. So I'm not going to play the under-over of 11.5. If you want to run to the window, please do. But when you see this, last night we had the Red Sox team total over 5.5 plus money. Today it's 6.5. Plus money. So I think the Red Sox, I call them the Patriots now, Red Sox get to 7 or better, so you need the touchdown with the extra point to cash. But Red Sox team total over 6.5, you can get that at plus 105. That caught my eye there. And there's a tricky one here, I think, because you don't see this very often. San Diego and Washington about to go off in 40 minutes. I talked about the Padres team total over the 4.5. It's juiced. Well, you don't see 5.5s a lot, especially with a 9.5. Take a look at the first 5 over 5.5 in that game. Again, it's a 9.5, but you don't see 5.5s very often unless they're in Coors Field or Wrigley with the wind blowing out. So keep an eye on the Padres, Washington over 5.5, first 5.
Good with me, my man. If you don't have anything else, we can move. We're about right around an hour. We can move to closing thoughts, my friend. We will obviously, we've been talking about, we've got some big UFC fights coming up this weekend, so we'll be excited to break some of those down. Don't have I enjoy watching the Olympics. I cannot say I am by any means any type of Olympics expert, so I have been not looking at any odds or lines on that. We will have, I think it's starting next week is the Olympic golf tournament, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm interested to see what we're thinking for that one here. This upcoming weekend of golf, obviously all those guys, I could be wrong, but I think all of those guys that are in the Olympics are, I know the 4 in the USA definitely aren't in this one here, but still a good tournament, just minus those guys that are in the Olympics. Tony Finau, the favorite. Sam Burns is in it. Akshay Bhatia, Thigala, Billy Ho all in it there. So definitely something to watch out for there. Keith Mitchell, a guy that I've been circling the wagons on for a while, 30-1 might be my early just toss out there. Would have respected a little higher odds there, but higher odds there. But I'll go Keith Mitchell as my early toss out there for the 3M Open. But Tony Finau going to have he's the best player in the field. Him and Sam Burns, they're going to have a good chance to win this one.
Burns showed flashes, was on the leaderboard going into Sunday last week, so keep an eye on that. And I do say this, it will be a birdie fest at the 3M. Brady Kannon will be here tomorrow at 5 o'clock to break that down. We have an early morning show for all the Wager Wire community here watching and listening. 8 a.m. Eastern. Set the alarms. Turn on the notification. Travis Geiger live from Paris. We're going to have shows in the morning, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, potentially Saturday, Sunday. Could be live from the Eiffel Tower or at one of the events that he's at as well. So Travis will be here at 8 tomorrow morning and probably the rest of the week moving forward there. When you play Keith Mitchell in and outright, you must play him as a first-round leader. There's a correlation there. So if you were going to lean on some pizza and beer money or play Keith Mitchell for the outright on for the full tournament, make sure you jump on him, first-round leader there. Before I close, you didn't give out a home run prop tonight.
Let me backtrack a little bit here. I will go. Let's see. I will go off of in that Subway Series. Let me pull up these odds here in New York. Not gonna go Aaron Judge. I'm not liking what I'm seeing with odds, so I might back off of that one. Actually, on that one. How about a Manny Machado bomb in DC, Washington DC, plus 270.
It's so funny. I am going to follow up with a couple games that I talked. You went Machado. My eyes were in San Diego. What is a Xander Bogaerts homer in D.C.?
Xander Bogaerts, 425, plus 425. Not bad for him.
Plus 425. And the name Tyler O'Neill for the Red Sox in Coors Field.
Let me jump over to that one. Tyler O'Neill is 250, plus 250.
You go run to the window for Mr. O'Neill there. And it's so funny. My buddy reached out to me yesterday. Goes, man, I loved Duran for a homer yesterday in Coors Field. And he said it was like plus 475, 425. I was like, that's too much meat on the bone there. I says, but I do like him for a triple. And the damn bastard got a triple last night. So, what is Duran's home run prop?
475.
Do you have a triple prop in front of you?
Oh boy, that might take a second. A triple prop for. Yeah, let's see. I think I could get one here. For Durant. They're not giving Durant as an option. There's only 6 guys that are an option here, so they know better than to give him again there.
Well, if you can run to the window at one of your local books, they're closing like hot fires. The Westgate Superbook pulled out of 8 states. Bet Rivers pulled out of Ohio. So make sure. You know, the good word is the north ends of the world, the Federal Hills of the world, and all your mom and pop shops are smiling, saying, you came to us the whole time. Now you run to your little apps. Now you're going to end up coming back to us. But if your local establishment has Jarrett Duran for a triple, go grab it.
I won't name the name of where I found it, but I found it elsewhere for plus 580 compared to everybody else, 9 to 1, 10 to 1, and then beyond. So that is by far the favorite to hit a triple out of that game.
So go grab them, plus 580 here. Great show as always. Again, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., Travis Geiger from Wager Wire. 5 o'clock will be the one and only Mr. Brady Kannon. And here it is, 6:10, and I'm forgetting, Scotty Beam 'em Up Webb will be on in 4 minutes. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day. Cash some tickets. We will see you soon.